Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnuvad Paramahansa Parivatikacharya Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. Okay, so we are today, Tuesday, August 5th, we are going to hear from the Srimad Bhagavtam. And can we send a message to everyone that's not here? It seems like maybe we're missing some people. I mean, Michael's making cookies, but he could be here now, right? He doesn't have to skip Bhagavatam class to make cookies. Okay, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayed. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayashtabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the fourth canto, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. We're on text 30. Dhruva Uvacha Samadhina Naika Bhavena Yat Padam Vidu Sanandaya Udvorita Saha Maseraham Shadviramusha Padayosh Chayam Udpedyapad Kata pratanmatihi. Dhruva uvacha. Samadhina naika bhavena yat padam. Vidu sanandadaya udvorita saha. Maseraham sarbiramusha padayosh. Chayam upetya patkatha pratanmatihi. Dhruva uvacha. Samadhina naika bhavena yat padam. Vidu sanandadaya udvorita saha. Sandadaya udvarita. Vidu sanandadaya urdvareta sa. Maseraham shardbira musha padayosh. Chayam upetya patkatha pratanmarti. Dhruva uvacha. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Yat param. Udvarechasa. Chayam upetya pakatha pratanmati. Okay, I don't know if there's any demigoddess Matajis in here that we can't see, but Hare Krishna. Dhruva uvacha. Dhruva Maharaj said, Samadhina, by practicing yoga in trance, na, never, eka bhavena, by one birth, yat, which, padam, position, viduhu, understood, sananda adayaha, the four brahmacharis headed by Sanandana, urdvaretasaha, infallible celibates, masahi, within months. Aham shadbihi, 6 amushya of him, padayoho, of the lotus feet, chayam, shelter, upetya, achieving, apagataha, fell down, pratakmatihi, my mind fixed on other things than the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki. Dhruva Maharaj thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis headed by Sanandan, who practice Ashtanga Yoga and trance, attain the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months I achieved the same result, yet due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position. In this verse, Dhruva Maharaj explains the cause of his moroseness. First, he laments that to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly is not easy. Even great saintly persons like the 4 celebrated brahmacharis, headed by Sanandan, Sanak, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar, practiced the yoga system for many, many births and remained in trance before getting the opportunity to see the Supreme Lord face to face. As far as Dhruva Maharaj was concerned, he saw the Supreme Lord personally after only 6 months of practice in devotional service. He expected, therefore, that as soon as he met the Supreme Lord, the Lord would take him to his abode immediately, without waiting. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very clearly that the Lord had offered him the rule of the world for 36,000 years, because in the beginning he was under the spell of the material energy and wanted to take revenge against his stepmother and rule over his father's kingdom. Dhruva Maharaj greatly lamented his propensity for ruling the material world and his revengeful attitude towards other living entities. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakarajam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhishta Kripasinubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram Hari Om Tat Sad. Dhruva Uvacha Samadhina Naika Bhavanaye Padam Vidu Sanandadaya Urdvaretasa Masaraham Shadbiramusa Padayos Chayamupetya Pataga Pritanmati. Dhruva Maharaj thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis headed by Sanandan, who practice Ashtanga Yoga in trance, attain the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months, I achieved the same result. Yet, due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position. Before speaking on this verse, I'd like to ask for the blessings of all the devotees and also just thank everyone for giving me the devotional service of being able to force myself to study and try to remember Krishna, which is the whole point of all of our endeavors. And so thank you for giving me that blessing just by being here. But also if you could please pray to Krishna and Prabhupada and all the exalted devotees that I can say proper things which will help uplift our consciousness in their same mood and please them. The prayers of the Vaishnavas are very powerful. Today is a very special day. It's the Tirobhav Titi of two great Vaishnavas. Tirobhav means disappearance from our vision. We don't say people died. Like, oh, that's the day my mom died. No, we try to, although we have mundane vision, the Vaishnavas give us terminology because we're not really Vaishnavas, we're practicing to become Vaishnavas. Like Prabhupada said, Vaishnava is a high thing. So they give us high language to understand things. So instead of saying, yeah, that's the day that so-and-so died or passed away is slightly better, or gone back to Godhead maybe is slightly better, like you say Nitya Pravishta, they like attain the Nitya Leelas of the Lord. But Tirobhav also is very appropriate because it becomes from our position, disappearance from our vision, which it's kind of like a mixed feeling, because if someone you're really attached to leaves, then it's like a heart-wrenching experience. But if someone you love also becomes very happy and attains the goal of their life, then you're also very happy for that person. So in one sense, Krishna's goal of his life is to be Paritanaya Saranam Vinashaya Tadushakritam. He wants to be with the sadhus, be with his devotees, and uplift them and have loving relationships with them. And so when they come down here, it's almost like they're separated in some sense. And so when they're reunited, it's very blissful for Krishna and that devotee to be reunited. But for all of us left back here, it's very difficult. And so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given us the Vaishnav calendar, and with that comes the responsibility to properly observe all of the things mentioned there. To not do so would be Guru Avagya, the third offense against the holy name, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So therefore it'd be an offense. And so we should at least, if we don't even know the name of the people, we should at least look in the Vaishnava calendar and at least say their name. Because such devotees are so powerful that even just by saying their name, we can get their blessings. And frankly speaking, we need their blessings. So we'll talk about the verse first, and then we'll talk about these two devotees. So Dhruva Maharaj is saying that Krishna consciousness is simple but not easy. Like you all remember Yoga Kishore Prabhu was always saying, Krishna consciousness is very simple. Doesn't take that long to explain actually what it is, but it's not easy. It takes complete sincerity. And he's saying that even in a whole birth, ekabhavena, a whole yogic trance lifetime, that the Sananda Adaya, the four brahmacharis, famous four Kumaras, they were such powerful yogis that they thought, oh, in the bodies of young boys, they generally don't get lusty. So if we want to maintain our celibacy, let's just shapeshift into, take the bodies of like 5-year-old babies, and then it'll be much easier to remain brahmachari. That's how we're thinking like, okay, let's like wear a kopin and wake up early and take a shower. Like that's our strategy for remaining brahmachari. But they're so elevated they could adopt these like very far out strategy to just have a completely different body. And Dhruva Maharaj is saying even such powerful people with a whole lifetime, they couldn't do it. Prabhupada says attain the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet after many, many births. And then he's saying, within 6 months, I achieved the same padashaya, the shelter, the shadow. The shadow means you're under the shadow of the Lord's lotus feet, or the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. And so, one part about Krishna consciousness that's not easy, and for all of us, it's practically the main thing that we're on. That one point is being drawn out by Dhruva Maharaj here. He couldn't attain the Lord. He was forced to be the ruler of the universe for 36,000 years. So there's things that can hold us back in bhakti, and what do we want? Bhakti. Wouldn't we want it? Now. But what's blocking us? Things. So those things are called, but what do we want? Our artha. Artha means what do you want? That's your artha. So an anartha is what you don't want. It's just the negative of what you want. So therefore, if there's things that are obstacles into what I want, what do we have to do? We have to anartha nivritti, make those things not exist anymore, or removal of unwanted things, a removal of obstacles. And our acharyas have nicely summarized all the billions and trillions of anarthas that we all have into 4 different categories. So you can have anarthas from previous sinful activities, like you accidentally murdered a Brahmin and now you have to be born as a snake or something like that, or anarthas from different offenses that you've committed in your life, like we were just talking about Guru Avagya, which is also another category. Namaparad is kind of the main one that we chant once in every 3 days now, because our morning program is like made like that. We chant that 10 offenses against the holy name. And then the 4th one, a category of anarthas, is arising from pious activity. Right? Yeah, sukriti. So, unfortunately, if you did something good in your last life, then you're going to have a really terrible consequence of being beautiful, of being very learned, of achieving lots of wealth, and having high parentage. So you can, if you don't have those things, you can feel happy that you don't have the dangers of having pious activity as an anartha. Too much sukriti. There's different kinds of sukriti. We want bhakti sukriti, but we don't want just sukarma, a bunch of good activities. Because, for one, it's all these things make the world nice. Like if you're some very beautiful person, extremely wealthy, extremely knowledgeable, with high birth, everyone loves you. Everything you do is easy. You have the golden spoon in your mouth the entire time. You can kind of, I can get used to this, and you don't see the faults of the material world. You don't experience them, although they're going to come. Your beauty won't last forever. Your wealth will either cause you anxiety because you have to protect it from others. Like George Harrison, after he got famous, like your fame won't matter. After he got famous, he was telling, like he met my Guru Maharaj one time, and he was telling him how it's so bothersome to be famous because he can't even book a hotel anymore. He wants to go on a vacation. Okay, so you're rich and famous now, okay? Bam, you want to be rich and famous? Okay, the genie came out of the bottle and he gave you. Now you're a billionaire and you're ultra famous on all the tabloids, all the websites, all the news. You're so famous. Okay, you want to go on a vacation somewhere? Like, good luck doing anything normal. People are just going to mob you. People are just going to always ask you questions. Now, any person new that you meet, you're never going to know. This is one of the main problems George Harrison had. He never knows if someone's meeting him, that if they just want to get something from him, or if they're genuinely interested in wanting to be his friend. And he can't ascertain that. So that's the terrible results of pious activity. So therefore we should not do pious activity. No, we should do pious activity. we should do pious activity to give ourselves to the mode of goodness. Prabhupada says that's what makes devotional service much easier to perform. But all these other things are not helpful because they connect us with the body. But what does Prabhupada say like 14,000 times in his various teachings? You are not the body, you are not the body, you are not the body. I mean, we say that, that's almost our first ABCD of teaching, that's the A, you are not the body, right? But how much do we actually realize that? It's like, although we're saying it, for most it's just on a level of jnana rather than vijnana. And having all these qualities that reinforce the bodily concept is very difficult. And look at poor Dhruva Maharaj. Whatever he did in his last life to be born as the son of the emperor of the world, and then what to speak of those negative thoughts that he was having against his mother to try to get revenge, and the material desire he had to want the gigantic kingdom, those anarthas actually, I guess you could say those anarthas also anarthas rising from bhakti. Like there's a stage in bhakti when you can't be fixed. When you get all the anarthas removed, you'll be fixed in bhakti. Krishna says, Tesham ananta gata pampam. When all your sins are put away, then you're fixed in devotional service. So sometimes when we're doing devotional service, people like us and want to do stuff for us and want to give us things. But that can also be, if we give in to trying to enjoy those pleasures, rather than just using everything in Krishna's service, that's called, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur categorizes all these different stages. That's Taranga Rangini, is having pleasure, surfing on the waves of the enjoyment coming from bhakti. So this is kind of like Dhruva Maharaj has these terrible pious activities from his past life which caused him to be born in such a high birth with such powerful qualities that he could do this. And now he's got the terrible result of having to rule the whole universe for 36,000 years in complete full opulence on like an undeniable planet. Like, oh no. That sounds pretty bad, right? Like none of you guys would want to do that, right? If like someone was like, here's the keys to the castle. Like you can be the president of all the presidents. You're the emperor of the whole world. No, you're emperor of the solar system. No, you're the emperor of the universe. We don't even know what that means. We can't even fathom that. We can hardly fathom what it means to be the temple president of this small little place. What to speak of the mayor of like New York City. What to speak of, the president of the United States. What to speak of if somehow someone could like have dominion over the whole world. All these different movies are talking about the different villains. Yes, I want to dominate the whole, world domination. And James Bond has to come save the day or something like that. So we want to get rid of these anarthas. And Dhruva Maharaj, he attained in one lifetime what the devotees, the four Kumaras, what were their names? Sanandan, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar. Even just saying their names, it's helpful for our devotional service, actually. So we can say it again. Everyone, Sananda, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar. Yeah. And maybe they're here right now watching and we just can't see them. But anyways, they're also omniscient, so they can hear what we're thinking and hear our prayers. They can help us. So Dhruva Maharaj is making the point that they didn't make it in one lifetime. But he made it in 6 months. And so many times devotees are saying like, there's like a, Gaudiya Mat versus ISKCON. Gaudiya Mat says 3 lifetimes and we say 1 lifetime or something like that. I don't know. It's just something. But we should understand what does it take for us? I mean, do we want to take lifetime after lifetime after lifetime? I mean, there's a couple of ways you could think about this topic. I mean, one thing is, we should just think, let me be purely engaged in service and have, like, Vraj consciousness. Then it doesn't matter where I'm at, it's like I'm in Vraj always. Like, for the pure devotee, Vraj is in their heart. So we want our heart to become Vraj, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. But how long will that take? Do we want it to take 500 lifetimes? like it's said in the Brahma Samhita, that it's a gradual affair. But how gradual do we want to make it? Brahma Samhita says the highest devotion, Vraj Bhakti is the highest devotion, is attained by slow degrees, by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization with the help of the scriptural evidence, the Shastras, theistic conduct, proper activities, and perseverance in practice. And of course the mercy of the Lord, but we can't control the mercy of the Lord. But if we cultivate these qualities, then it will come. And Prabhupada says this elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees. Only in the association of great devotees can one be delivered from our delusion. And so many times people would ask Prabhupada, like this is from a lecture in San Francisco, Swamiji, is it possible for us to worship Krishna purely in this lifetime? Why not? Prabhupada says, why not? Do you think we're simply wasting our time with this process? Why lifetime? Within a second you can do it. This is 1968, Prabhupada's telling them, like within a second you can have your consciousness uplifted to that. It's possible. It's not a material process that requires so much time. It requires simply a spiritual technique to know how you can develop attachment to Krishna. As soon as you're 100% attached with Krishna, your business is finished. So that's our goal. Like all the devotees in Vraj, they're 100% attached to Krishna. And we're whatever percentage we are. Maybe we came to the temple and we heard about Krishna a little bit, so we're 0.1%. Or we took some prasadam and we really like prasadam, so we're 1%. Or so much. So what? We have to develop that to 100%. Prabhupada said in a letter in 1972, I can understand that you're a very sincere boy and are a very eligible candidate for going back home, back to Godhead. The process is simple. So we said it's simple, but it's not easy. Follow the regulated principles very strictly. Chant at least 16 rounds of beads daily. Read our literatures. Go for street sankirtan, etc. In this way, keep yourself engaged in Krishna's business. How long? 1 hour a day. 2 hours a day. 4. 8 hours a day. That's it, right? 8 hours a day, and then you can sleep and do whatever. No, 24 hours. And in this lifetime, you will become perfectly happy and in the end, reach the supreme destination. So who here wants to be perfectly happy? Yeah, good, okay, that's good. We're in the right place. Someone came to, we have these Times Square kirtan events and try to do a lot of book distribution, and just, it's like a great thing with Times Square, so many tourists coming through. And so we were packing up and someone was coming and asking me like, what is this? So I was telling them this is like about meditation. Like, what are you a monk? Like, did you go to the Himalayas or something? And because everyone's conception of meditation is that you go to some cave, and this is like, somehow people understand this. I don't know how they understand it, but they understand that you should like, get away from the population, go to some cave and just like think all day, and like that way, that's meditation. Which that's true, that's one kind of meditation. Dhruva Maharaj pretty much did that kind of meditation. But for us, we've been given a much easier process. I told him, like, I can't meditate 24 hours a day, you can't meditate 24 hours a day, but with this process, we can do actual meditation for 24 hours a day, even in the beginning stages. It's simple, but it's not, you just have to be sincere, it's not necessarily easy. So the Prabhupada's saying, engage in Krishna's business 24 hours a day. Now we may think, I can't stay awake for 24 hours a day, I can't eat prasadam 24 hours a day, I can't like do kirtan or chant japa or read 24 hours a day. But even actually, if our sleep is under the guidance of the spiritual master, our sleep can be counted as devotional service. Because if you driving the car, filling the car up with gas is also devotional service. It also helps the car move. Prabhupada says we need about 6 hours of sleep per day. Sometimes he said maybe 7. But 6 is the usual answer that he would give. And if we're sleeping about that much and we're not oversleeping, and we're not undersleeping, we're getting the amount that we need, we're balanced in it, then it's actually devotional service. So 6 hours gone. Well, it's 24 minus 6 for all these math majors. 18 left. So then we have a few hours for eating. So maybe 16 hours left in the day. Maybe an hour for bathing and taking care of the body. We have 15 hours. Then we have more morning program from 4:30 till 9. So that's another 5 hours. So we're at 10 hours left. Then you do like 2 hours of cleaning, 2 hours of service here. In that way, you can fill your day up. Prabhupada said, follow the regular principles, chant your 16 rounds at least, read our literatures, so we can read for, people can read for 30 minutes, an hour a day, no problem. Some can study more, 4, 5, 6 hours if they're studious. Go for street Sankirtan. That's personally what's helping me in my devotional service. I can engage 6 hours of my day. And we just have to plan a no-gap philosophy. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is very wonderful and very marvelous. And it was brought to us by, Krishna himself came to give it as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ma vadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya namne gore tushe namaha. Was that verse written by Rupa Goswami? Yeah, that's it. Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada says, is the leader of the Krishna consciousness movement. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Rupa Goswami. If you read Nectar of Instruction, that's the first sentence of Nectar of Instruction in the preface. So he was also the de facto leader of all the Goswamis, and he's known as the Sambandha Tattva Acharya. Abhideya Tattva Acharya. We have different acharyas. There's Sambandha, or knowledge of the relationship between us, Krishna, and Krishna's different energies. Then there's Abhideya, the knowledge, how to act within that relationship with Krishna. And then there's Prayojana, the fructification and the perfect result of acting in that relationship. And so we have different acharyas. All the acharyas showed all aspects, but there's some that they were specifically empowered by Lord Chaitanya to show. So for Sambandha, we had Sanatan Goswami. The main books he gave was Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which shows the relationship between all the different levels of bhakti and all the different characters in Bhagavatam. It was his commentary on the Bhagavatam, and it's a very wonderful thing to read. Prabhupada said one must read it. And fortunately, Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu has given a wonderful, mostly from the commentaries of the acharyas, he's given English translation. Then we have the Abhideya Tattva Acharya, which is who we're hearing about today, Srila Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada. He's of course given so many books, but for us, especially, is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is giving the whole process of bhakti, how it works. How bhakti means 100% attached to Krishna, 100% emotionally in love with Krishna. And how does that emotion work? He goes through all of it, following in the path of Bharat Muni, he wrote about mundane rasa, which is mundane emotion. How does people's emotions work? So Rupa Goswami transcendentalized it to talk about how does the lovers of Krishna, how does their emotions work? And Prabhupada has given us that in the wonderful Nectar of Devotion, his summary study in English of that. And of course we have Raghunath Das Goswami, who was empowered as the Priyojana Tattva Acharya, and he's given a glimpse, we heard in the purport the other day in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we've been given a peep into the transcendental affairs of the Lord. So somehow, through the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we can understand not only the transcendental emotions are like how love for God works, we can understand the highest transcendental emotions that the highest devotees have for Krishna. And we can also understand Krishna's emotions. Like if someone walks up to you in the middle of the street and says, hey, do you understand God's emotions? Like that's such like a deep thing that no one even is remotely thinking of that. But that's what we've been given. It said Mahaprabhu left only 8 verses, and he left all his disciples, his primary disciples that the 3 I just mentioned of Jiva Goswami and the Goswamis, to propagate his mission. Like in the Sad Goswami Askam, Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuno Sadharma Sanstapaka. So the Sad Goswamis were engaged in churning all of the different shastras to substantiate Lord Chaitanya's mission. And they all received special mercy in this way, especially Rupa Goswami. Narottam Das Thakur gives a famous prayer which Prabhupada takes and puts in the Mangalacharan in the Bhagavad Gita, which we say, almost everyone says that for class. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So, Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam. What is in Lord Chaitanya's heart? What is his mind? Stapitam Jaina Bhutale. Rupa Goswami knows. He can read his mind. He can read the God's mind. Like if someone's like, can you read my mind? Like, I don't know, but Rupa Goswami can read God's mind, and we're trying to follow him. So that's where we're at. Stapitam Yena Bhutale made that, he read his mind, understood his mind, and made that available on Bhutale, on this earth. And so we offer him so much respect. And one main incident exemplifying that was when Lord Chaitanya would chant a specific seemingly mundane verse. That very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra, and the fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing for the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet my mind is not happy here. I'm eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva, under the Vatasi tree. That is my desire. So this is some like famous poetry. Poetry is one of those arts which can uplift our consciousness. Especially Prabhupada, many exalted personalities are also great poets. But Prabhupada was also known to be a great poet, and by his poetry, in a similar way that Lord Chaitanya was recognized Rupa Goswami, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized Prabhupada. Impersonal calamity thou hast removed. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. And when Bhaktisiddhanta read that, he said, yes, he has understood my heart, he has understood my mission. So similarly, when Rupa Goswami heard this verse, no one understood why Lord Chaitanya was chanting this. He would just chant this. In Rath Yatra, he was chanting this. When he was dancing in Kirtan, he would chant this and go into complete ecstasy. People were like, what the heck? Like, imagine if like in Kirtan, I just start like, I'm blue, da ba dee da ba da, and I just start singing that and going to ecstasy. They're like, what the hell are you talking about, Natabara? So he's just quoting some mundane verse. But then Rupa Goswami, understanding that, kind of uncoded it, decoded it. And this is when someone's very close with you, you can say things in code and they'll understand it. It's like you're very close. But even if someone's far away from you, even if you're yelling at them, they can't understand anything. So my dear friend, I've met Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra, and I'm the same Radhika, and we're now meeting together. But I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest there, and I wish to hear the vibration of Krishna's flute playing the fifth note in Vrindavan. So this is what Lord Chaitanya was meditating on, this mood of separation that Radharani had. And Lord Chaitanya is asking, how could Rupa Goswami understand my heart? No one could understand this meaning. I can guess, therefore, that previously you bestowed your causeless mercy upon him. So they're telling him, like Lord Chaitanya, the only way he could understand this is you gave him. And Lord Chaitanya was testing him. He said, yes. In Prayag, I was teaching him about Bhakti Yoga, how to write the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and there I bestowed my mercy upon him. And I also bestowed my transcendental potency. And he's telling Swarup Damodar, now you should also give him instruction. In particular, instruct him about rasa. And Swarup Damodar said, as soon as I saw the unique composition of this verse, I could immediately understand that you had bestowed upon him your special mercy. By seeing a result, one can understand the cause of a result. Judge something by its fruit. Every great teacher says that. Prabhupada says that. Chanakya Pandit says that. Jesus says that. So if something is getting a good fruit, then we should check into the cause of that. And so they saw the fruit of Rupa Goswami saying this. And Narottam Das Thakur also prays in many or Krishnadas Kaviraj says Rupa Raghunath Pare Rahu Morasha Asha. No. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, almost every chapter ends like this. Something like that. In Narottam Das Thakur Bhajan, Rupa Raghunath Pade Hoibi Akuti Kabe Hama Bhujabo Se Yugala Priti. If we want to understand real love, then we have to get it from the previous acharyas. Prabhupada says, therefore, to understand this mission, one must seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with gopis. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. And to understand them, we have to understand them. Rupa Raghunath Pade Hoibi Akuti Kamahama Bhujavo Se Yugala Priti. And so one wonderful poetry that Rupa Goswami gave us. I do not know how much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. And when that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when that holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activity of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. So when Lord Chaitanya heard this, Lord Chaitanya, the same Nimai Pandit who had completely defeated the Digvijay Pandit, who had Saraswati personally dancing on his tongue, who was chastised by Lord Chaitanya, saying, quoting from Bharat Muni, that, although if your body is well decorated with ornaments, if you even have one spot of white leprosy, it becomes disgusting. And similarly, even an entire poem has so many alliterations, similes, metaphors, and different ornaments, it's made useless by the faults that are in here. You have 5 faults, my dear Pandit, that I've just seen, and there's many more. I've just given you 5 examples. We can talk about it more in detail later, but you can compose another verse tomorrow, maybe. And he chastised this Pandit who had never lost a debate. It was Digvijay, victory over all directions. And in this, he was saying that Lord Chaitanya praised the metaphors and literary ornaments of Srila Rupa Goswami, and saying, without such poetic attributes, there's no possibility of preaching transcendental mellows. And so that's Srila Rupa Goswami. He's given us the best definition of bhakti. Anyala bishita shunyam jnana karma navritam anukulyena krishnana shilana bhaktir uttama. So enough philosophy. Let's talk about Gauridas Pandit, pastime of him. Gauridas Pandit was Subal Saka, who came in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and he was so attached to Lord Chaitanya that he never wanted to be separated. So he said, never leave my house. Stay here in Ampika Kalna. This is my humble submission. If you leave me, I shall surely die. You must stay here. And then I'll always stay here and see you in your divine form. Stay here at my place, and everyone will be delivered and satisfied just by seeing you. Please don't leave. And then the Lord said, Gauridas, allow me to fulfill your desire in this way. I shall give you an exact copy of myself in Nityananda, murtis that you can worship. And by seeing this murti, you can think of us. And my murti is as good as I am. Know for certain that my words are true. So my Guru Maharaj is explaining how then they went on the altar, and he's like worshiping the murti. He's like, no, but it's not the same as you. So then Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda jumped on the altar, and the murtis jumped down. Like, okay, then we'll leave. And he's like, wait. And then this whole transcendental situation. So like this, he had a very wonderful relationship with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and he had a very wonderful disciple named Chaitanya Das. And there's 3 kinds of disciples. There's the worst kind, which you have to cajole and prompt into doing service, and sometimes they don't even do the service, and they do it. It's like a last class, this 3rd class disciple. Then a Majjhima disciple, your average disciple, you ask them to do something, then they do it. Then you have your 1st class disciple, without it even being asked, they understand the mission and the heart of of the spiritual master, and they can perform activities automatically and independently. And so one day, Gauridas Pandit was gone for some time, and it was becoming Gaura Pranim soon. So imagine if your guru was Gauridas Pandit, who had so much attachment for Lord Chaitanya, and the biggest day for celebrating Lord Chaitanya's appearance day was coming up, and you knew plans have to be made. He's going to want to have a big festival, inviting everyone here and this and that, but he's not there to organize things. So feeling anxiety like this, Chaitanya Das then called all the different disciples, all the different people, and invited them for celebrating Gaur Pranim festival. And then suddenly, a couple days before, Gauridas Pandit shows up. And he, although inwardly he was very happy, externally he wanted to make a point. So he said, "You're acting too independently. You cannot stay here. Leave from here now." And so Lord Chaitanya Das's heart was broken. And as he was doing his bhajan away from his guru, a rich, wealthy businessman came upon him and said, "Here's a great, give him a huge donation. I want you to give this to your guru." So he brings a gigantic donation to the guru. And the guru says, "Okay, Chaitanya Das, with this donation, you can make, on the bank of the Ganges, make a big festival for Lord Chaitanya. Make a big festival of chanting and dancing." And so they arrange all the prasadam, they invite all the people, and they start the kirtan, and the kirtan becomes so ecstatic that Gaurnitai on Gauridas Pandit's altar, "I want that to be in that kirtan." And they run to the kirtan and they start dancing in the kirtan, and everyone's dancing with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And then Gauridas Pandit's disciple, that was the pujari, is told on him, told on Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, is like, "Gauridas, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they ran away to the kirtan, they're not here anymore." And so Gauridas, "All right, okay, I'm going to fix this." And he grabbed a club. He's like, "I'm going to bring them back. They have to come back to my temple." And so, out of love, he wanted them there. And so then when Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda saw that, they got scared and they jumped into Chaitanya Das's heart. And so they're invisible to Gauridas. And then Gauridas could understand, and he embraced his disciple and accepted him back into his service and said, "Now your name is Hridai Chaitanya." And Hridai Chaitanya was actually also the guru of his biggest disciples, Shamananda, who was one of the Prabhu's tribe, the great three acharyas who renovated bhakti in the medieval ages. It's 9 o'clock. Breakfast is, if we're going to follow according to the exact titi, according to how the Shastras explain, it's at 9:57. So we're going to have a 57-minute longer class. No, I'm just kidding. The class is over. There may be Ekadashi Prasadam made by Kana Gopal downstairs. I'm not sure. If you really want to follow the exact scriptural time, it's 9:57. Although Prabhupada was never super stressing on this point, so to each his own. We'll be having the Brahmachari Katha at 12, so anyone who attends that, 10 to 12, anyone who attends that will be bringing something to break Ekadasi, so don't worry if you think you won't have time. So 9:57. It's now 9:01. I don't want to go back over the time anymore, but I guess if anyone has anything to add to the discussion, now's the time to do it. Om Tat Sat.
There's two things to add. Thank you for the nice class about Gauridas Pandit, Rupa Goswami, and how that connects to Dhruva Maharaj. I just wanted to add to the equation two things that I heard. There's a nice verse that we can meditate on today. The verse is Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhojau Dhuli Syam Janma Janmani. And the translation is, this is by Raghunath Das Goswami in Mukta Charitra, and he says that, clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly begged to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth. This is the first Praman. And I heard a class by Keshav Maharaj, and he was saying that the Goswamis are the masterminds of bhakti, and the first reason is that they're masterminds of bhakti is that, one, they have mastered their own mind, and second, they know the mind of their master. So it's very much of the Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. And yeah, I just thought of those 2 points. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the transcendental addition. Infinity plus infinity. Just more infinity. Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai. Shri